I need to just stop right here in the midst of my steps. Now, I just heard something that I need to just sit back and meditate on because I believe what I heard was the truth. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Lovely J Podcast. I'm Coco. And what I'm talking about is when you hear God's voice, it's not the way people think, like you're going to hear somebody say, "Hey, J, man." It's not like that. The voice that comes is sometimes quiet and it just appears in your conscious and it allows you to have peace if you just listen. And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, I wanted to do things my way, which our minds will fool us and have us thinking that that's God's way. But the thing I wanted to do was to have a gathering. But then God reminded me, you don't need to have a gathering. You need to pray, and you do need to be a doer of the word, but you can't gather with everybody. And I was like, what? But we family. Put it like this. I'm going to believe what I heard. Call me crazy if you want to. But there's a book about the Gideon 300 who went to battle and had the wrong people in the battle. There were some cowards. There were some tricksters and all that. And so God had Gideon to get rid of those. And he had a certain way that he had him to eliminate the men for battle. And by the time he finished, out of 10,000 men, there was only 300 men left standing for the war against those hundreds of thousands, against those thousands. I'm going to say thousands of men. It was only 300 of those soldiers fighting for all of them, including the weak ones. So that lets me know. And the way God just brought it to my memory to remind me of that, I was like, wow, you can't gather with everybody. When it's a situation going on or you trying to straighten things out, some people are not going to be reasonable. And I'm not saying that's my case, but what I am saying is I got to listen to what God has told me. And I made a post a while ago on Facebook, and it's the Lovely J Podcast page, Facebook page. I made a post on there. Let me just read it to you, because if I try to just remember it, it's probably not going to go so well. But that's what made me jump on here. I said, hold up. Gotta make sure y'all still on here because I had a video to play and that didn't do right. Okay, hold up. Give me just a second here. Make sure I got that off. And here we go. So, this is what my Facebook post says. Y'all can go follow me too, by the way, on Lovely J Podcast. It says, one time in 2015, God let me know not to do business with dirty hands. I didn't listen to him. I lost everything my hands were touching. My business, my money, my friends, my cars and trucks, my health, my mobility, and so much more. And I forgot to say I almost lost my mind in the midst of that. I forgot to add that on there. But I go on to say that I listen now. Because after you've been burned so many times, of course, the fleshy thing is to jump up and want to help somebody else that's on fire. But sometimes God will pull you back and say, nope. Psalm 46:10 says, he says, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. My heart means well. And then I put on there, my heart means well. but God knows all. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to listen at what God got to say about that situation. Because it was never on my mind. I just went off and really, I've been thinking about it, but not thinking about it like that. So you got to be careful how your mind will jump to tell you that you're supposed to do this. I done made a whole meeting. I done told everybody in the family, let's get together, Friday, 11 a.m. Let's everybody meet together and let's get this situation solved. But then God, as soon as I sent all those messages out, God hit me with his own message. He said, no, you don't. No, you don't. Because the quickest way to lose your fight is to get among people who don't want to fight. Get among people who already want to see you down. And I'm not saying nobody is negative against me. I just know there's certain fights that I can't go into with everybody. And God reminded me of that. There's certain battles that I can't fight with everybody. And most of the battles, I don't need to be fighting no way. Now, I got to be a doer of the word. I got to be that. I got to be that because faith without works is dead. But sometimes the work you need to do is on yourself. And I look back and I say, well, Jamie, what's wrong with you? Why is this thing bothering you? What's eating you up so much about it that it's bothering you to make you want to call all them into a meeting? And then the most hurtful thing, God will make you cry. The most hurtful thing, God reminded me of 2014. When my dad passed away January 27th. Whew. He reminded me, you mean to tell me you want to gather with people? Hush, girl. You want to gather with the same ones. And I'm going to say that. I'm going to leave it right there. But God just let me know that that's not my gathering. That's not my gathering. I can't do that. I'm not supposed to be amongst that. And I'm not going to do it. And the situation is the situation regardless. It's still, and you know what? God was right because after I sat here and thought about it, I said, wait a minute. Even if we do meet, it's not going to change who they are. It's not going to change who I am. So it's not necessary. Now, there are times when things will be necessary, but this is not necessary. God made me cry because my flesh was willing. I mean, that thing was throbbing. It was jumping. My flesh was willing to go do what it takes to get this situation under control. But then the Holy Spirit jumps in and says, you need to control your emotions. You need to calm down. You need to slow down. You need to count up the costs before you go doing and trying to be a boss. And I was like, what? I just sat here and I had to cry because I got convicted so bad. Running with my feet right now. I got convicted so bad, but I'm so glad that God loves me enough to make me cry. Because some people can't cry. Better beware. But I'm so glad that he loves me enough to make me cry. And there was one thing, well, if you want to do something, why don't you go ahead and do a podcast that's going to help people that want to be helped? And I was like, yeah, that's true. And then God was like, he reminded me, you got so many other things that you need to do. Have I not taken care of you? Have you not still been producing despite your disobedience? Now, I went through that season of where I couldn't produce nothing. It was a hard season. Boy, I tell you. When you jump out there and you don't listen, It's hard. I'm going to tell y'all what it was, too. So in 2015, I had a Mother's Day gospel program, and God was dealing with me. And, I'm just not coming into my real, true faith. I mean, I'm just coming into not playing with God. I'm really, hanging on to God I'm like I am now. I was in there. I was on fire for God, and I was wanting to do this and bring groups in for Mother's Day. And then when I think about it, the Mother's Day program was not even mine. Yeah, I wanted groups to come in, but I didn't want to be the one who had to be in charge of everything. So this what happened. My brother decides that we should do this Mother's Day program, and he comes up with all these groups, and he used my name to do it, because he seen where I had a good response from people in the past. So he used my name to have his program to get people to come out there. Well, I'm going to tell you this. It was a lot of good went on in that program that night. People were delivered, healed, some were saved, set free. But behind the program was the fact that the money wasn't there. So he then made all these contracts with these artists to come in and sing. And mind you, I said, we don't need that many artists to sing, not for this program. We could get this artist, that artist, somebody that was within our budget. But behind my back, he went and got these other artists that costed more money than what the budget was. And what ended up happening, I had just came in. I had to take my money and pay groups off, or else it was going to be a bloodbath out there. That's the best way I can describe it. It was going to be a bloodbath at that school auditorium, because they were cutting up. Them groups were cutting up. We didn't get our money. And they were like, where he at? Where's Joe? Where's Joe? And I'm like, I went to Joe. Joe sitting out there in the car because he couldn't walk in the building. He's sitting in the car, right? And he telling the people, oh, I got the money. You said you were going to come and do it for free, remember? And then he started telling about everybody he know and kinfolk and all that stuff, talking around the corners. And they were like, I don't care about none of that. We just want our money because we come a long way. And in that moment, I realized that even people who running for God can get upset out here when it comes down to their money. And them people cut up. You hear me? Quartet will beat you. If you don't have their money, them men and women about their money. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I won't mad at them about it, but I was like, I didn't do that part of the contract, but yet I had to fulfill the contract even though it wasn't my doing. And that's things I never told nobody. Now I'm telling it now because it's going somewhere. It's leading to the testimony that I've been talking about. So I go ahead and I go to the bank. I draw out every dime I got. Every dime I got in that moment to pay these groups off. Everything I got saved up, all my school money. I had my school money to pay my tuitions and things. I had to go and grab all this money out the bank and come back and pay these people. It was total. Some of it equaled up to over $6,000. And I was just starting out as a promoter. So I didn't have a lot in, I was trying to build up. And here he go. He added all these groups in that really shouldn't have been there. And these were good groups. These were well-known groups. When I tell you these groups, these are well-known groups who have traveled overseas, who have won awards, who have, just been somewhere everywhere. And they was coming from a mighty long way. Not to sound like I'm about to sing the song, but they was coming from a mighty long way. They were quartet groups. And, people up this way, we love quartet. But that night, we had a Holy Ghost time. They still, one of the guys off one of them groups, he came to me, he said, look, my group don't go on until we get our money. And so I had to lead the building. I'm the program manager. I'm the financial manager. And I'm the one helping MC the program. I'm doing all this stuff. And, I had the Beautiful Blessed Divas there, which at that time was the name of my charity organization. But since then, I want to change that name. I don't like that name anymore. Those divas, that's back before I knew who God was. I don't want to be a diva anymore. But however, that's who we was back then. Beautiful Blessed Divas. And we had people coming from all over, to see this program. But I got embarrassed so bad by some of them group members. They were like, well, we don't go on until we get our money. And they was walking around mad. And people would see, the audience was seeing that they were mad about something. They didn't know what it was, but they knew they was mad about something. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to leave for a while and go get the money. So good thing those women were there to help out with that. And the women were good at keeping the groups calm, because them groups were going off. You hear me? And in the midst of all this, a guitar gets stolen from one of the groups. And they're looking like, well, it was right here. And then we find out another group stole another group's guitar. And so it was about to be a bloodbath by day. And it was so much that went wrong, and yet so much went right in the spirit. And I think it had to go that way so God could teach me a lesson, because after that happened, everything I touched went down. When I mixed my hands where they shouldn't have been mixed, everything went down. It got to a point where I didn't have no food in my house. I ain't had no chairs in my house. You know what? Right now in my house, I got like kitchen chairs now, and I got 2 recliners. That's it. I never recovered enough to go out and get a living room suite and all that. But my home went down. My finances went down. My health went down. Everything I touched went down. My relationship went down. At that time, I was still talking to my ex. Everything I touched went down. There was nothing that I did that did not go down. And it continued to go down until this was 2015. So everything continued to go down for me up until 2022. And now that I'm seeing that, and I know bad things started happening in 2022, but that was the year of completion from that. That was 7 years of nothing. I couldn't produce. I couldn't produce nothing. I was trying hard. I couldn't produce nothing. And my name was still good then. My name better now on a blacklist than it was back then. I couldn't produce nothing. I couldn't get the listeners on my radio stations. I couldn't get the listeners on my podcast. I couldn't make no money no matter how hard I was running and trying. I could not make no money. I couldn't feed myself. I got so sick, and I was doing some depression. I was in some depression too. And I got so sick and mentally, physically sick that I could not do nothing within them 7 years. Now comes along 2022 and the invisibles wake me up. So it was a good thing that somebody did something. At least I'm not on your side with your dirty hands. But if you gonna play with dirty hands, just know you gonna reap some dirt. It took me every bit 7 years. And even though things started turning around in 2022, I was not able still to make a dime until 2024. I was still struggling. Now, I'm not saying I'm all that right now, but what I am saying, the blessings that I didn't see come through now that have been produced through preserving and getting in trouble about what I shouldn't have done because I knew it was wrong. I knew it in my heart that it was wrong to join forces with him because it wouldn't have been the first time that he did that to me. He did that to me in 2012 too. 2013, and 2014. It was so much he had done. And I don't put all the blame out on him because I was an adult and I knew better, and I just kept making the same bad decision over and over. Now comes this thing that I'm doing today, and I decide, no, I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. My flesh want to cut up so bad about my mama. But I got to listen to God. And when I opened up my Bible a while ago, now y'all can call me crazy now. Because I know that I'm not. Because I done seen things that God has done that no other man could have done. Do you know what it feels like to be in the pit, to be around people who don't want you around, who don't even want you breathing, don't want you alive? You know what it feels like to be around wolves in the lion's den? In the lion's den, don't know if the lion gonna eat you up or not, but you know you look up and there go an angel who got your back. I'd rather stay in the pit long as God is with me. Hey! Now y'all don't like talk like that, do you? But I'd rather stay in the pit long as God is with me. So I come to open up my Bible and I ain't kidding y'all. As soon as I open my Bible up, it goes to Psalm 91, which lets me know I heard God right. I heard you, God, when you said don't meet with him. I heard you. Psalm 91 goes on to talk about whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely he will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of the night. Well, let me say it right. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys all midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If you say, the Lord is my refuge, and you make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you. No disaster will come near your tent, for he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. You will tread on the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Because he loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him. I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. He will call on me, and I will answer. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him with long life. I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. So for as me and my house, this house right here, I'm going to serve the Lord. And the house is inside of me. It's in my heart to serve God. And one thing about it, if God told me don't deal with the dirty hands, I don't care who you are, I'm not dealing with your dirty hands. You take your dirty hands somewhere else. I am not making no begging pleas with no dirty hands. That let me know it don't even matter. You know, my faith is so much into God right now after all I done been through. Even though the flesh is willing, my spirit say no. After everything I've been through, I'm still standing by the grace of God. I still got a right mind by the grace of God. And it's not because I gathered with anybody. It's because I laid here and I heard God and I cried out to him and I pleaded with him and I let him know that I know I was wrong. I asked him for forgiveness. He taught me this way, that I don't have to gather with people like that. Now, there will come a time when people will gather and when things will need to be taken care of, but not this way. Not this way. I can't do it. I can't do it. I already know to even step up around, I'll be drained, I'll be outnumbered. Because if I be disobedient and go do what I'm not supposed to do, God not going to meet me there. He not going to meet me there. He not going to be with me. And if he not with me, I can't do nothing without him. Because with man, things are impossible. But with God, all things are possible. And that's the way I feel on tonight. That's the way I feel. That's the way the Lord has blessed me with interpretation of his word. That I already called out to him on the situation. I already shed my tears. In 2014, I saw enough. It don't matter who name on what. It don't matter. God do the exalting. He let me know it's not my time. That's not my calling right there. You know, sometimes we want to jump in prematurely. We want to get things handled so that nobody gets hurt or it don't be no problem or nobody gets misused or nobody gets a bruise. But sometimes it got to go down. It got to go down so that God can come back and throw down. And I was sitting and I was talking one day. And I was saying, well, I want to do this for Mom and I want to do that for her to make sure everything is good. And a young man said, why would you want to do that? When I started talking about, some of the things I wanted to do. And he said, why would you want to do that with them? Haven't you had enough of that? And I got thinking, you know what? That is right. Why would I already know the outcome. I already know the outcome. Listen, if we have a meeting, I already know the outcome. It's not going to be a solution because you will never have a solution where God has not stepped in and ordered one. And in this case, the only solution can come from God because this is a matter of the heart. It's not even a matter of, it's a matter of the heart. That's all I can say. It's a matter of the heart. It's a battle between good versus evil. Good or bad. That's what it's a battle between. So I thank God on tonight that I heard him. I listened. And I'm just going to wait until I'm going to wait on him. And while I'm waiting though, you know what? While I'm waiting, I'm not going to be one of them faith without works is dead. But while I'm waiting, I thought I heard something. While I'm waiting, I'm going to go ahead and be doing the work that I need to be doing. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep doing the things that I need to be doing because it's a lot. And, you know, I need to prophesy to the bones. They will live. I speak life to the bones, that they will live. And prophesying is still good. Prophesying is still available for those who believe. And I speak life to this situation, that God's will be over everything. Versus, you know, what I may feel, what she may feel, that the right people will intervene with the right answers and solutions. But meanwhile, I've got to do my part, which is know that you just can't talk to everybody. People don't comprehend. Because if you got to gather them together, first of all, to talk to them about something they're doing, and that tells you right then and there that most likely there's not going to be a worldly solution, but the spirit is already out there. The spiritual solution is already out there. And so I don't need to do nothing but wait till I hear from God. And his promises are for real. He gonna take care of them old people and widows, babies, elderly, and poor people. He gonna take care of you. But if you in the wrong, you might be like me. You might go through a season where everything you touch, it's not gonna prosper. And even though I had faith them whole 7 years that I went through. I had faith in God, and I still couldn't produce. I couldn't produce until God released it. But I kept my faith in him, and I kept believing in him that things were going to turn around and work for my good. And I kept working in the midst of it, doing what I could to help myself. And even though I didn't see, you know what? I didn't see a result. I kept seeing all the bad things. Things kept getting worse for me. I ain't gonna lie, it kept getting worse for me. But you know what? I kept right on doing vision boards. I kept right on praying. Did you hear me? I kept right on having visions about what things could be. I kept right on praying. I learned how to be content. See, Paul taught that. How to be content in the good days and the bad days, the rainy days and the snow days. You know what? Even during those 7 years, I learned how to appreciate each season. I tell this all the time on this podcast. I went through the season, I ain't had no hot water. Still don't got no hot water right now. But you know what? I know when the ground gonna heat up because I've been without water over 10 years. Without hot water over 10 years. So I learned what God already had out there for me. I learned that during the colder months, I had to, heat my water up some if I could, or let it sit out longer before I took a bath. And during the months like now, from May on out, I learned that, hey, this is the best time to take showers, and you don't need to turn on the hot water or nothing. Just turn on you some cold water, and the ground has heated it for you. And I'm believing that God has already heated that ground, that the situation that was on my heart, that was making my heart heavy, I'm believing that God has already heated that situation to where it needs to be, that somebody can come through with some answers. Yep. So I'm not even worried. I'm not worried about it. And I just got to be careful how I let people in my ear too, because some people can be so worried about things. Because my faith in God may not be like the next person. We are on different levels, and I have to be understanding to that as well, that those of us who are on this godly walk and in relationship with God, we're all in different stages of that relationship. And some people don't realize that faith without works, they don't understand what that is. And some people like me, God will tell us a thing, and even though we heated up, we rowdy, and we about to do whatever we gotta do, when we hear God and he say back off, oh, we get like little kids. We back off, we back down. All that big heart in our chest, we let it go back down. We let it go back down. All that ego, we suppress that ego. We step on that ego. Because that's what a lot of it be. When you think you can do, and God ain't told you go do, that be ego, that be flesh. And so I had to step on that flesh and say, okay, I understand you, Lord. I hear you. And he made me remember what happened the last time, and the last time, and the last time. You don't have to meet with people who already have their mind made up about what they're doing. Those are the wrong people to meet with. You got to meet with somebody who is of higher character, higher authority than those who are in the situation. And I'm just believing that God will do it. I'm just going to leave it like that. Other than that, y'all, I was supposed to do Kiva tonight. And you know what? My mind has been so distracted. Well, wait a minute. Today it was distracted a little bit. But I've had a lot of things to do with my house being worked on and just, it's really hard to think when you got a lot of stuff. You're looking at a lot of clutter. And I've got everything from rooms, from my master bedroom. I got a 3-bedroom home, and most of all the stuff from my bedrooms are in this living room and kitchen. And every time I'm looking, it's just heavy. It's just heavy on my mind, so I'm not concentrating on everything that I need to do. Come to think about it, I just thought about something. I was looking for this lipstick set that I was supposed to do a video on, and it just hit me. What if that's it over here in this box that I haven't opened? So I need to get my own house in order. And that's what I'm working on. By God's grace, I got up today and went and did those 14 loads of clothes. And I'll talk about it. I did talk about it on another podcast, but I ain't loaded it yet. I got things in my own home that need to be taken care of. I do have concern, but I know God got this. I really think a lot is going to be revealed. Maybe not now. Maybe not now. But y'all do know them barrels of wine, when Christ kept saying that he wasn't ready to reveal who he was, and his mother knew what was best for him to go ahead and do it. Y'all know them barrels of wine was about cleaning. Cleansing the heart, the mind, the spirit of man. And when I look at my home, I had to come through, and somebody brought back a lot of clothes that I had threw away. And last time I wore or even saw these clothes may have been 2020, 21. And so now I'm looking at a bunch of clothing in my home. Because I said I washed 14 loads of clothes. I've never had that many clothes to wash. But I went on and washed them anyway. And I'm going to go through these clothes. And the ones that I can't use, I'm going to donate them or go ahead and throw them away. But somebody went out there and they got them clothes and they brought them right back into my house. That's why I gotta be careful how I jump into battles, because I got enemies surrounded all around me. But Psalms 91. God, I need you. And God, I thank you. Psalms 91. But somebody brought those clothes back, even though I had threw them away. See, I was on an assignment back in July. And I don't know if many of you remember, but I was on assignment to get things out of my home that I hadn't either purchased, things that had a bad spirit about it, clothing that I didn't purchase, things that people had gave me, that I need to get all this stuff out of my house. And some of the things were still good. And I didn't understand why God was telling me that. But I was obedient. I got, the Lord was dealing with me. He said, get your ex stuff out your house. You don't need his stuff in your house anymore. And I didn't understand where God was going with that, but I was obedient. I started cleaning things up, and I went back there, started grabbing all his stuff up that he had left. Mind you, we've been broke up 10 years or more. I started cleaning up the things that he had back there, and I didn't get everything in time. But this was 2 weeks before August the 5th that God had me doing this, cleaning out my ex's stuff. 2 weeks later, my ex passed away from an infection in his body. He passed away, and that thing tore me up. it tore me up. Not that I had forgot things that we'd been through, but it was because I had a love for him, because I knew how bad he had been hurt too in his life. And I'd seen so many things he went through while we were together. And I saw so many pains, and me being a soft heart, I didn't like to see him hurting. Never wished death on him. Now, he used to wish it on me all the time, but I never wished it on him. And so when he passed away, I said, okay, God, I see. I see what you mean. Now, if that stuff had still been in this house, it would have sure enough tore me up. But see, God was already preparing me, and I didn't question God about why to get the stuff out. I didn't question him. But 2 weeks later, there was an answer. After I got that stuff out, and after he passed, I went and found more things of his and got all that stuff out. God said, you're not done yet. You still got to get out things that he gave you, that she gave you, that they gave you. Things you took in that you shouldn't have took in anyway. And I was like, well, God, I needed clothes. You know, I'm thinking like I needed clothes during that time, so I took clothes from different people. You know what God told me? Get rid of those clothes. Do you know, if he had not been with me, some of those clothes would have took my breath. Would have took because every time I wore certain clothing, it was a scent that was in those clothing that was so strong. And just like now, a few dresses I had threw away that somebody had gave me that came back, and I smelled them dresses. Look, these dresses were given to me in 2020. I smelled these dresses, and they still the same smell, even though I washed them. I've been having them dresses now for 6 years, and I washed them, and they still smell the same. God said, get rid of it. My favorite pair of pants, get rid of it. I even went and washed them pants today, but as I'm talking to y'all, get rid of it. And I got rid of most of the things that people had gave me. I got rid of it. And the season, and it's not that the people were bad, y'all, so don't take it the wrong way. Some were bad, some were evil. Those of you who put things in those clothes to take my breath, yeah, you were evil. You were evil-hearted for doing that, and God will deal with you on that. Because God knows some of them clothes, every time I would go sing, I had to take so many inhalers and things with me, but I never paid attention. When I stopped wearing the clothes, I could breathe. See, y'all, we don't be watching. We got to watch well as pray. We got to pay attention to what we are doing out here in these streets, because this is a battle. We're in a spiritual battle. And at the same time, we got to know how to handle ourselves accordingly in this world. So I got to go through these clothes, get rid of those dresses, get rid of my favorite pair of pants. I could cry about that. And this time, I may just take them to the dump so that nobody goes through and dig them back out and bring them right back here. Because I did get rid of them before, and they already back. A lot of the clothes were back. Because I was wondering, how did this much stuff get built up in this living room? Like that, it didn't seem like that much would, because I threw a lot of stuff away. Y'all, I've been throwing stuff away since July. That's how much stuff was built up in my house that other people gave me. I've been throwing it away. And the more I throw away those things, the freer my home feels. The healthier I become. See, we never know what people say over these clothes before they give them to us. We don't know the words that people speak in the atmosphere before they bring us something, a piece of food or something. We don't know what's been spoken over that food. And I'm not telling you to be paranoid, but what I am telling you is to watch well as pray. And during all that time, if I wouldn't have had faith in God, it's a possibility that I may not be here, because my breathing got real bad when I was taking in them people's clothing. And I had the nerve to be posting on Facebook, oh, I'm sick today with bronchitis. not knowing that they were part of the reason why I was sick. Didn't know all that. And the same one come right on. Oh, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you. Yeah, praying on my downfall. That's not paranoia. That's facts. It's facts that when I got rid of the clothes, I could breathe again. I don't know who I'm talking to out here or why God has led me this way. But most likely, yeah, I do. He led me this way because some of y'all going through the same thing that I'm going through. That's why. Anyways, I still got more work to do. I got more work to do, and I need to check that box before I stop thinking about it. That box gotta have what I'm looking for. It's just one video. I gotta get it out, y'all. Ooh, I ain't got much time. So I'm gonna talk to y'all later. Peace, love, and happiness. Until next time, y'all stay prayed up and just be mindful of the decisions that you make and the people you gather with, because you're not supposed to be gathered with everybody. Some people you're supposed to come from among them. And when God tells you to come from among them and you don't listen, you be disobedient, then you might have to go through that 7-year drought like I did. It was a 7-year drought. It wasn't easy. But I knew God was teaching me something, so I kept my faith in him. And I don't want to go through that again. So the biggest thing right now, what I got to do is just take care of what he told me to do. I got to do exactly what he told me to do. And I got to do it ASAP. All right, y'all take care.